It is great to welcome Kelsi Mayne again on this podcast. She's an awesome country music superstar or superstar to be. And she recently released her new single for this year, All or Nothing. Hopefully, it'll be one of many to come. Kelsi, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm great. How are you, Chung?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, I've been quite busy since the beginning of the year. I imagine that you are as well.
Yep, yep. This song just came out right at the top of the year for all the New Year's resolutions out there. So yeah, I've just been busy with that ever since.
Mhm. So tell me about the inspiration behind the song.
Well, my co-writer and I, we were Brett Cherokee is his name, and we were talking about our experience in the industry and how we've been doing this for a long time, and I just kind of mentioned like I don't really know what the next steps are. Like I feel like the labels in Canada all know who I am now, and I'm like, if you want it, come and get it, kind of thing. And and then so he was like, oh, he's so then he we ended up writing that into the song, in the chorus. If you want to come and get it, and so yeah, this is kind of like our love letter to the industry itself.
Mhm. Yeah. So how many years have you been in the country music industry at this point?
I think I've been playing for, I want to say it's like about 9 or 10 years now. So yeah, it's been a while. So this is kind of like our statement piece,
Mhm.
to try just to make a big impression. Uh, and I think it definitely does that with the horns and the guitars and the backup vocals and all of it. It's pretty rocking. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's very rock inspired. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
And I imagine that it has since gotten quite a bit of radio airplay since it came out.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like I haven't even been so you to get a song to radio, you intentionally release it and you submit it into the radio stations and you hire radio trackers and or promoters, they like to say. And they help to get it out. And for this song, because I know since I'm not part of a major label, like I'm not Chris Stapleton, I'm not Hardy, like they both have very rock songs that made it to country radio. But I know for someone like me, a song that's more on the rock side isn't going to fit the format that they're looking for. So I'm like, I'm not going to bother because it's also pricey to send it to radio too. So I'm like, I'm not going to bother sending it out. But stations in the US are loving it and they're like adding it. They discover it on their own. Sometimes my fans will send it to them and they're adding it to their rotation just without me even putting it out myself. So that's always a really good sign.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine that your American fan base is somewhat more enthusiastic than the Canadian one.
I think for this song, yeah, I think like this kind of style is definitely a very, I would say it's probably more like an American friendly kind of style.
Let's see. Tell
Yeah.
me about filming the music video for the song.
Music video. So actually we ended up filming it like super last minute. It was kind of like we had uh a video submission for a contest that we kind of decided to join last minute. And then so we had probably like 48 hours to get it done. So called up my band, and then I needed a female in it, and so I called up my one of my good friends, Jessie T. She's another artist, and I said, would you mind being in the video for me?" And she's like, "Absolutely," because she's game for anything that I ask her. She's amazing, and so it was just a super fun day. I rented a studio and got some. videographer friends, and we just kind of did our thing and just try to rock as hard as we could, and I think it shows in the video for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, it did. Um, and do say hi to Jessie for me. Yeah, I've had her on the show before, and it was really fun chatting with her.
Will do, will do. Yes, she I know she loves you, so
That's awesome. Yeah, and I believe she recently celebrated her birthday. So happy belated birthday to her, of course.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, she did. Her and my actually lead guitarist, they almost share a birthday. They're one day apart, so they celebrate it together sometimes.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
of course, last year I think she got engaged. So yeah, her life's going on an upward trajectory.
Yeah, she's got a lot going on, and I know she's got new music coming out too, and her songwriting, her next projects are so good. So I'm really excited to see those.
Yeah, me too. I love to catch up with her on this program to discuss that when
Yeah.
she releases new music.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you definitely need her.
Yeah. So when you reflect on last year, so 2024, what do you believe are your greatest achievements?
In 2024, that was a really difficult year for me personally. I went through a lot. It was like one thing after another between like loss and grief and yeah. So I feel like it was a bit of a wake up call. And I know, and then through that, like I had multiple things happen. Uh, I a 10-year relationship that ended, and a wedding that I called off, and then I had 2 weeks later my grandmother passed away, and then the next day I had to open for Russell Dickerson at Caesars Casino Windsor, and so I mean that to me was probably like the day that really tested how strong I was and kind of showed me, just how far I can go. Uh, so I think that was probably one of my biggest accomplishments last year was opening for getting through that performance, and then not only just getting through it, but it was, I think, one of my best performances on stage too. So, um, yeah, I would say that probably that sticks out.
I see. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about all that you went through.
Thanks. I mean, it's life. And you just gotta you can never anticipate things, and you just have to keep on trucking, and yeah, I think it's there's lessons in everything, and everything happens for a reason, and you might not know it at the time, but you'll find out after. And for me personally, I feel like I needed to go through a really difficult time in order to really live all of life's experiences, and fortunately but unfortunately it's benefited my art and my songwriting, and that's I feel like I needed to go through that in order to get to the next level with my songwriting. So
I see. So speaking of music, what can we expect from you this year musically?
I'm sitting on like 10 new songs, so I can't wait to get them out. I have my next song is coming out February 21st,
Mhm.
and it's called Breaking Bad. I am sending that one to radio. I'm sending it to radio in Canada and Australia. And I'm going to be doing a little cross Canada radio tour. I'm going to be doing shows also across Canada, festivals across Canada this summer. And I also I'm going to be moving to Nashville full time. That's my game plan once my visa all goes through. And then I'm also recording with some amazing people. One of them being Chip Matthews, who he's Luke Combs' producer. So really excited to get started with that next month. And so there's lots of things going on.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear the song that you have in store. I imagine that it is in no way based on the famous television show.
Yeah, no, you are correct. It's just a line in the song and but um we just thought it was like catchy. And so it's not it's in the chorus, but it's not like the hook line. But the hook line is she might have got there first, but I'm gonna make it last. And so it's a cute song. It's like up tempo and like stomp clap, kind of like a Dasha Shabuzi kind of vibe. It's really cool.
Mhm. Yeah. I understand that you recently made a trip to Nashville. It was a drive and it took you a number of hours. So how
I'm
was
here
that?
right now. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was I I make that drive pretty often. And I love to drive, so it's fine, but it takes about like 10 hours around there. So
Mhm.
not terrible. It's not terrible. And then because you need your car while you're here because everything is
Yeah,
so far stretched. Like um I I lived in Toronto for 10 years and you don't need a car there, but you definitely need one in Nashville for sure.
of course. Yeah. So other than the fact that you're a country music artist, why Nashville?
You know, when it's like you want to play professional basketball and you're coming from a rec league and you, you want to get better, and in order to get better you have to play with the pros. And so I kind of explain it like that. It's like in order for you to get better, they always say you need to surround yourself with everyone that's better than you. And here, you can just go to the corner store and bump into someone who's better than you. Like it's just that saturated, but it makes you grow that much more and faster. So, and it's kind of Chip Matthews has told me, the more you're here, the more your fingers more on the pulse, and You're not writing what you hear on the radio. You're writing what you're going to be hearing on the radio. So, because music all evolves and the different trends all evolve. So, to really get ahead of everything and kind of predict what's coming next, you need to be around it.
Oh, yeah. I imagine that music must be everywhere you go in Nashville.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. And I love I don't go downtown much, like to Broadway. Um the local people and industry people don't go there much because those are just cover songs and we've heard all those. And but I like to go to the more industry areas where they have original music playing, and there's lots of those. So it's really cool to be able to do that pretty much any day of the week.
Oh, yeah. So I wish you the best of luck with your move, and hopefully you
Thank
find enough friends and people who inspire you there.
thank you so much.
Mhm. Right. So, what will happen to, I guess, your other career being a registered nurse? So, will Nashville change that?
No, I'm still able to. So I'm still the chief medical director at our company, and I oversee our medical side of everything for our companies. We service the film and television industry and their medical needs. Um, so I'm still able to do that from anywhere. So, and that's using my nursing degree in a a different capacity. I'm not doing any bedside nursing, but it's still using your degree. So I'm still able to maintain it and kind of do both at the same time. So,
I'm not sure whether we discussed this in our last conversation, but I would really like to touch on your song titled "Your Jolene." It's a fascinating song, and it has a very wonderful music video. And obviously, it references the famous Dolly Parton song. So tell me about
about your Jolene. So, I had a girlfriend one time tell me, uh, I'll never forget it. She was on the track team with me in university, and we were both in the ice bath together. And she said, "You know the song Jolene?" And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, you remind me of her." And at the time, I happened to know that the she had a crush on a couple guys on the team, and I didn't have any interest in them, but I know that they had crushes on me. So I think that might have been one of the reasons why she said that. But honestly, like I didn't do anything. Anyways, she mentioned that resemblance, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But I didn't know all the lyrics. I just knew like the chorus. So I went home that night and I listened to all the lyrics and I was like, that was actually really mean. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. So I think part of being a songwriter is like wanting to send a message and like tell your side of the story and like defend yourself almost. So I wrote this song to kind of just be like, I might fit your description, honey, but I ain't your Jolene. Like that's yeah. So
it. Yeah, I believe Dolly Parton was writing about this woman that her man is is cheating with, right?
yeah, yeah. It's about this redhead that's stealing Dolly's man,
Hmm.
and I didn't know such thing. So just wanted to set the record straight.
Yes. So how would the Jolene person respond to that accusation?
Uh, well, I mean, if you were in my case, then you would respond with this song. But I think the Jolene that Dolly's referring to might have been guilty. So we don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Tell me more about how Dolly inspired you.
Well, I mean, she's just like I think she's just like the mother of all things in country music and southern living, and just she's the what would Dolly do is just such a ingrained thing in our industry, and I feel like Dolly's an amazing musician, but it's all of the other things that she does as well that like you want to make sure that I'm like if I ever reach some large level of fame, like I need to make sure that I follow in her footsteps because she's just she's brilliant. She never says anything wrong. She's always so gracious and fair and generous, and it's just like, and she has so much class, and so I just want to make sure that I try to follow in her steps and her lessons pretty much every day. I think if everyone did that, the world would be a amazing place.
It's wonderful. Yeah, and apparently the question, "What would Dolly do?" does not exclude the answer of starring in a movie with Sylvester Stallone, titled Rhinestone Cowboy. I wonder if you've seen that one.
I haven't. Oh, I haven't. But that's on my to-do list, on my
Yeah,
bucket list.
yeah, it's quite the movie, I have to say. Yeah, for me, I think my favorite country musician is Johnny Cash, period. And
Mm,
it's kind of because of the opposite of what you've attributed to Dolly, because Johnny Cash himself isn't perfect, but he
mm,
tries. I think that, and because of his trying, he finds wisdom in everything, in life and in love and in heartbreak. And
Yeah.
I find that the the final albums that he did in his career are superior to the earlier ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, he's just like when you talk about I had a meeting yesterday with uh, a publishing company, and what really stuck out from that meeting was he made this comment that said, "I don't know any other artist that that sounds like you." Like he's talking to me, and he's saying that there's no one that he can really like kind of compare me to, which is a good thing. And he said, because you're your own artist. And I feel like Johnny, it was like definitely his own artist. Like no one else was like him. And then other people have tried to be like him since, but he was definitely just so different and like not a crazy vocalist. But the he basically like sing talks and but it works and it's so good and he's so entertaining and yeah I think it's like it's such a cool lesson to kind of learn that he just hones his own he knows his own path and like he just honed in on it.
Oh yeah, and I think I could say the same about June Carter too. She serves as a much more balanced complement to Johnny Cash's Rocket Man persona.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure you're very much flattered by his comment. You know, you are charting your own course, and there's no one like you, and such.
Oh yeah, when I heard that, because I was wondering where he was going with it because I've always kind of wanted to know because you get that question a lot, like who do you sound like? What's your style like? And I've always really struggled to answer that. And so I wanted to hear who he thought I was like, and but he couldn't tell me, which is cool. Like, but but I still don't know the answer. So if you have any thoughts, I would love to hear them.
Um, I guess you sound a lot like Kelsi Mayne. That would be my answer.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Kelsi Mayne sound will encounter a lot of eras and evolutions in the coming year. So I'm very much excited to hear that.
Thank you. I've definitely evolved a lot over the last year for sure. And I think I've finally it's cool because I feel like I've finally found my sound and my style, and it took me a while to get there. But yeah, I just kind of it's the first time that I'm 100% comfortable in what I'm putting out in the world. And 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 I'm confident like just being confident in it is such a nice feeling to have.
Mhm. Yes. Reminds me a lot of that Miles Davis saying, it took a mighty long time to play like me, for me to play like me. I think that's his thing. And yeah, he is another figure that I can um point out to as a singular figure in his sound. There's no one really sounds like him.
I can relate to that for sure. Yeah.
Um, so if you can meet and say to like the Kelsey Main that started her musical career some 9, 10 years ago, what would you say to her?
Just keep at it. I feel like especially when you're first starting out, there's a lot of questioning on like, am I what am, the biggest question is that you ask yourself is what am I doing? And like and I think like every once in a while I'll still it's been a while since I've asked myself that, but it'll creep up on you sometimes, when the self-doubt and um so it's just kind of like getting getting your own confidence um is tricky. And so uh, I've been fortunate to have enough people around me that have been in my corner, that have supported me and believed in me more than I've believed in myself sometimes. Uh, so that has been a huge factor in like in if I didn't have that, I don't know if I would have continued. But if I were to meet my own self, I would just continue to encourage her and just say like, "You're doing good. Keep at it." So you'll get there.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, I love to tell myself that too. If I would meet like me some 9, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So how has the industry at large benefited and challenged you?
That's a good question. So benefited, I mean, I feel like I've created or like I now have a whole other family, a whole other world. Um, so when my situation changed back in Canada earlier last year, um, I'm like, well, I'm like now I'm gonna pack up and move to Nashville. Like that's kind of like the to me that seemed like the most logical thing to do because I've been coming here for 8 years. So I think like having a whole other family and like world down here um, has really saved me in that aspect where I'm like, okay, I need a fresh new start. Um, where should I go? And this was the most logical place to go. Um, so I think like that's definitely benefited and saved me in that way. And the whole community itself is just so supportive. Um, so I love that. Um, and the other part is how has it struggled? How have you had
Yeah.
struggles with
What are
it
the
or
challenges that you've faced?
challenges? I think it's still being an independent artist and like the challenge is like with this past song, All or Nothing, it's like it's the the quality is there. Like the industry people in Nashville who have heard this song say, "Wow!" Like they're blown away by it, which is a really cool feeling. Um, but to have that feedback, but then also not receive the same support on like playlisting and like streaming services and stuff. It's like, how do you break through the noise when you're this little itty bitty person? It doesn't matter how good the song might be. Uh, no one, you still face the struggle of having potentially no one hear it because it's buried in the algorithms of what AI is now. Like a lot of the Spotify playlists and curators are AI generated. So um, to be this like little fish still is I think like that's the most challenging part of it. And so I'm just trying to do what I can to get the song even heard is that's the first step. So I'm really working hard at that right now.
Got it. Yeah. So I'll feature the song All or Nothing at the end of the conversation portion of this recording. So I certainly hope that that reaches a few ears at least.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so finally, so when you ask yourself the question of what am I doing, have you gotten a clearer answer than say if you were to do so 10 years ago?
Yeah. I mean, now I can say whenever I start to have those self-doubts, you always also have to try to remind yourself of the things that you've been able to do and accomplish um and like all the little times where you could pat yourself on the back. Like I've gotten to play the Calgary Stampede and Boots and Hearts and Cavendish Beach Music Festival, and so Big Valley Jamboree and national television, and the list kind of goes on. And like you kind of have to remind yourself, well, I find I have to remind myself sometimes, like you're right there, like you're hanging out with all the right people, and you you're bumping shoulders with all of the people that have made it. Like I've gotten to have conversations with like Billy Currington, and like tour with Megan Patrick, and so it's you just have to kind of remind yourself of those moments and those special accomplishments, and it kind of relights my fire, and I'm like, oh, okay. It regrounds myself. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm here for. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
That's an awesome note to end on. Thank you very much, Kelsey Mayne, for joining the show once again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.